Alright, today's video is going to be about spare tires, or the fact that I don't carry one. So on a trip to Nevada, the very first of 5 rides, I put a hole in this sidewall, and I was probably a good 5 miles, maybe even 10 miles away from the trailer, out on a trail with no spare tire. Now what you're seeing here is called a plug, and I do carry stuff to fix flats, and after this I now carry even more. So here's what we're going to be talking about today, all of these little devices. So this is the kit I had with me on the trail from Smittybuilt, and this thing you use to wherever the hole is, and it's really meant for the bottom of the tire, not the sidewall, but it did work. You poke it in the hole and screw it around like a corkscrew, and that just cleans out the hole, because the next thing you need to do is, it's called a tire plug, and you're going to use this little tool that has like for threading a needle, and these are the actual plugs, each one of these little strips. You peel one of these out and you feed it in through this hole and fold it in half so it's at equal lengths. Then you go over here to the tire where you've already cleaned out the hole, and some kits actually have a lubricant, which makes it even easier. This took a little bit of strength, and remember, you've got the plug folded in half, and you poke it in here all the way in, and then when you pull back, do not twist. You're just going to pull straight out, and it's going to disconnect. This is a picture of what the inside of the tire looks like, where the plug remains. When you pull out, only a small amount is going to stay inside, and then you trim off the excess on the outside. And then out here, my friend Tim said that most people don't cut it off flush. They leave a little bit out here, and that way when you're driving and it's flexing, it gives it a little more of a grip so that it doesn't go inside and open back up. So that's called a tire plug. And remember, it's not really designed for sidewalls, it's meant for the bottom of the tire. But it does work in the sidewall, and I have heard that people who have done a pretty nasty cut out here have actually been able to do a trail patch with a whole bunch of those, reinflate, and make it back to the trailer. So that's the important thing. I want to get off the trail and get back home. Then of course I can always replace the tire, which is what I eventually did. We did 5 rides in Nevada, so this tire probably had somewhere over 200 miles on it, and it was still holding air just fine. But fortunately, a friend of mine, Larry, who has a Villain, when he bought his back in November, he quickly replaced all 4 of his 30-inch tires with 33s. So he had 4 tires he had no use for, and he's a very generous guy, so he gave me a heck of a deal. I couldn't say no. So this was originally, this tire back here is the one that had the hole in it, and now it's got one of his brand new tires on here. Well, one of the things that I learned with changing out the tire, being accustomed to cars and motorcycles, I'm like, you got to do a spin balance. And they assured me nobody does spin balancing on these, because basically the metal would probably get knocked off, the metal weight, while you're out riding. So what you do instead is buy something like what you see here. I got this off Amazon, and these little bags, I gave one to the guys at Firestone that changed the tire for me. So when they were putting the new tire on, they just threw this inside, which was super easy. And then as you go down the road, this bag will disintegrate, and all these little things, these beads, will go around to wherever it needs to go to balance the tire. And what I thought was pretty cool is, let's say you get a big rock, stuck in here somewhere. Well, that changes the balance, and the beads, apparently they just go wherever they're needed. so you're constantly balanced. Now for the other 3 tires, I'm not going to take these off the rim. I think that would be expensive, to say the least, or time consuming. So instead, they give you this little bottle with a plastic tube, and you take a bag, you put them in here, and then the idea is you take the valve core out and then squeeze this in. Now, I understand, and we're about to find out, that as this starts to flow in, it will clog up, and then you can squeeze and go crazy. Or you can get something to make it vibrate a lot, and that will make it loosen up and go on in. So we're going to see if I have any success with that. Oh, and I did buy 2 other things. Hey, this is actually for repairing a sidewall. Now, I got the one that comes with bigger patches because my concern is if I get a big nasty cut here, I want a big patch. So instead of doing the UTV size, I did this size. I don't know if I made a mistake or not. And I don't know, I've been toying with the idea I'm going to actually experiment with this on this, but then I can't inflate it. And since I can't inflate it, I don't know if that's even worth trying. But who knows? We'll see. And then the other thing that was a possibility is you break off or damage the valve stem, and then what are you going to do? Well, my kit, I don't know if I can even show this, but anyway, there's a couple of valve stems right here. But the problem with these is you would have to break the bead because they go from the inside and come out. Well, that's an ordeal. These are meant to be a permanent fix. This company also makes a temporary fix. And you can see I have to put a wrench on here. And go look these up on Amazon and you'll see exactly what I'm talking about. But basically you peel the old one out, you push this thing in, and then all you have to do is put your wrench on and tighten this, and those 2 pieces come together, and that big chunk of rubber seals up your valve stem so it doesn't leak, and you got a permanent fix. And I went with the extra short ones because I assume that the reason these things break off is a rock hits something longer sticking out. So you don't want long, you want short. Did I make the right choice? Time will tell. All right, so we've talked about 1, 2, 3, 4 items. So that's pretty much everything I wanted to talk about. Now what I want to do is let all the air out of this tire and see how difficult it is to get this stuff in. All right, so first thing is take the valve cap off. Then with this little tool, we should be able to take the valve core out, and you'll hear the air is purging. Now this kit did come with 4 spare stems, so I can always, or valve cores I mean, so I could always replace it. Okay, the air's out. Now the reason the tire doesn't look squished is because I do have a jack and a jack stand over here so that it won't collapse. So on goes this, and you can see the stuff goes in, and then what? I don't see anything happening. I'm smacking it. It's not exactly speedy. So I've tried a lot of different techniques, and trying to rush it certainly doesn't make it go any faster. But you can see I've got maybe 1 inch of beads, maybe 2 inches, and I've bent around, and I'm going to squeeze in 2 directions, but gently, and it just makes it bounce up and down, and then it goes in. I mean, some of it comes back into the bottle, but this is how you get it to go in. Slow and easy actually is faster than any other method I've tried. So I don't know, I'm thinking probably 40 minutes or more to do 1 tire. Well, now that I've got my technique down, I'm getting better at it. It goes pretty fast. Maybe I could do the second tire in a half an hour, but I got to finish the first one. All right, so on the previous videos, you saw me spend about 45 minutes to an hour using this little squeeze bottle, and that was painful. So what I'm going to try this time, and if it works, it could save a lot of time. So what we're going to do is take this number 15 socket, and we're going to take all of these bolts off and take that ring off and see if we can just shove the beads in that way instead of going in this way. So the first thing I did was I jacked it up. I'm going to pull the core out, let the air out, and then I'm going to take the ring off. Let's see if that works any better. Now I'm just going to use the tool that came with the kit. This is the end that you use to take the core out. It's pretty simple. You just push it in here, turn it around, and then shove it. You'll feel it go in, and when it makes a good connection, you just start twisting counterclockwise. Now this tool is going to work great for removal, but on the way putting it back together, it's only 14.8 pounds, or 15 if you want to round. So that's not very much pressure. We may not be using a power tool for that one. So the ring just falls right off once the bolts are taken out. That was too easy. But now, can we break the bead? That's the question. Alright, so far so good. I took the ring off, I took a little pry tool, and look at all the room I have for tossing beads in. This should be done in no time at all. Alright, so we've got this prop to open with the tool. I've got this torn. I got Larry videoing, and I'm just going to pour this stuff in there. I did not have to sit on the floor for 45 minutes to an hour squeezing that stuff. That was just too easy. So the real trick will be, how hard is it to put all this back together? So, next step. Alright, so be sure that you line this tire, the edge of it, up with the rim. It needs to be in there evenly before you put the ring back on. Alright, so the deal is, put a bolt in, skip 2 holes, go to the third one. So if this is number 1, 2, 3, skip, and then you go into this one. Skip 2, go into this one. Get all your bolts threaded so that they're holding the ring, and then tighten them down fairly snug. Get out your torque wrench, set it for 15 because the rating is 14.8 pounds, and then do the same pattern. Tighten them down until they're nice and snug, and then when you hear the click, meaning it's tight enough, skip 2, go to the next one, tighten that one, work your way all the way around, and eventually you will have every single one of them tight enough. And now it's time to put the core in, reinflate, and you are done. It's so much easier than trying to feed it in through the valve stem.